Today we're heading to China, where the Gobi Desert grows by about 3,000 kilometers each year.
China is the world's second largest economy, but even it is struggling against nature. Roughly 44% of China's land is prone to becoming a desert, and 27% of it has already been converted. Year after year, this country has fought tooth and nail to stave off the creeping sands, but all of its attempts have failed. China has cracked the code on how to put an end to desertification for good. But what is this secret solution? Join us as we look at this hard-fought success story, where China finally triumphed against the desert. The desertification problem. Before every triumph, there must be a challenge to overcome. But China's challenges may be too much even for the second largest economy in the world. China is the world's most impacted nation by desertification, made worse by substantial population pressures, limited rainfall, and climate change. These factors, coupled with overgrazing, excessive land reclamation, and inappropriate water use, contribute to the relentless encroachment of deserts in the arid north and west regions of the country. The China Daily reports that approximately 27% of China's total landmass, equivalent to about 1.04 million square miles, is classified as desertified land. Additionally, 18% of the nation's land is eroded by sand. In 2011, experts estimated that around 530,000 square kilometers of China's deserts could be rehabilitated, but the then current pace of reversing desertification at 1,700 square kilometers annually suggests that the process could take up to 300 years. The Yellow River Basin, China's second largest river, experiences some of the most severe land erosion globally, with 62% of the area affected by water and soil erosion. So is it really going to take 300 years for China to fix their desertification problem? Let's take a deeper look at these deserts and their unique challenges. Tengger Desert, China's vast size and unique geological features, driven by plate tectonics, contribute to extreme landforms. Notably, it boasts the highest mountain, Mount Everest, and the largest and highest plateau, the Tibetan Plateau, often referred to as the roof of the world. The collision of the Indian and Eurasian tectonic plates continues to shape the Himalayas and the Tibetan Plateau. Despite these geological marvels, China is also home to some of the largest and most extreme deserts globally, including the Tarim Basin and the Taklamakan Desert. The country features the tallest sand dunes and the largest desert alluvial fan in the world, located in the Badanjaran Desert on the western part of the Alxa Plateau in north-central China. One area, the Tengger Desert, is a prime example of the situation. This desert is located on the southern periphery of the vast Gobi Desert near major cities like Beijing and is expanding, reflecting the broader issue of desertification in China. Historically, China's deserts grew at a rate exceeding 1,300 square miles annually, leading to the loss of many villages. Climate change and human activities, including the clearing of vegetation, deforestation, overgrazing, and water resource depletion, have accelerated this desertification process. China's government claims that initiatives such as relocating residents, afforestation, and limiting herding have slowed or even reversed desert growth in certain areas. However, the effectiveness of these policies is a subject of debate among scientists, and deserts continue to expand in crucial regions. China suffers from worsening droughts in the northern region. Estimates indicate that China has gained 21,000 square miles of desert between the years of 1975 and 2016. This is roughly the size of Croatia. The Tengger Desert's expansion, merging with two other deserts, raises concerns about the creation of an extensive sand expanse that could render the area uninhabitable. But maybe the people in this region can help stop the encroachment of sand. Generations of families in northern China have traditionally sustained themselves by herding animals on the desert's edge. Officials attribute the desert's growth to climate change and overgrazing. However, some experiments suggest that moderate grazing may help mitigate the impact of climate change on grasslands, raising questions about whether China's policies of relocating herders might counteract these potential benefits. Local governments in desert regions have been relocating people away from these areas for decades. Residents on the desert's fringes actively engage in efforts, alongside local governments, to plant trees as a means of blocking wind and stabilizing the soil, aiming to limit the relentless advance of the sand. Many residents in the Tengger Desert region trace their roots to families who fled Minkin, located at the western end of the Tengger Desert, during China's Great Famine from 1958 to 1962. The Great Famine had widespread famine and resulted in a significant loss of life. To combat desertification, the Chinese government encourages farming in the area, emphasizing the role of agriculture in reclaiming land from the encroaching desert. Officials provide subsidies, which can amount to up to $600 per year, to support grassland ecological protection efforts. One place that deserves a look is the whole Gobi Desert. Gobi Desert. The Gobi Desert has its place in history as a region within the Great Mongol Empire and a vital hub along the Silk Road. Contrary to common belief, the Gobi isn't your typical desert. It's not completely covered in sand. It's mostly rock. Stretching over 1,000 miles from southwest to northeast and 497 miles from north to south, the Gobi is a vast desert region in Asia, spanning parts of northern and northwestern China and southern Mongolia. Covering an expansive 500,002 square miles, it stands as the fifth largest desert globally and the largest in Asia. Despite its reputation as one of Earth's harshest environments, moving between extreme temperatures and seasonal shifts, the Gobi Desert is surprisingly full of wildlife. The Gobi boasts a distinctive fauna adapted to its unique climate, terrain, and soil conditions, home to some of the world's most endangered species, including the wild donkey, Przewalski's horse, argali, ibex, Gobi bear, wolf, saiga antelope, black-tailed deer, gazelle, reed pig, leopard, and numerous reptile species like snakes, lizards, goats, spiders, white camels, and barnacles. The problem with the Gobi Desert. The Gobi Desert spans the northern region of modern China and the southern part of modern Mongolia. While some sections consist of sand, the majority are composed of bare rock. Today, vehicles can traverse the rocky terrain, but in ancient times, travel through the desert was challenging, leading most people to avoid it. Traders, primarily traveling in large camel caravans, were among the few who crossed the desert. Covering nearly 500,000 square miles of arid land, the Gobi Desert extends across northern China and southern Mongolia. Historically, it served as a natural barrier against the northern nomadic groups, referred to as barbarians by Imperial China. While contemporary China no longer fears invasions through the Gobi, the accelerated desertification in the country's northern regions poses a significant threat. The Gobi is recognized as the world's fastest-growing desert, annually transforming approximately 2,250 miles of grassland into an inhospitable wasteland. This expansion encroaches upon once fertile agricultural space and generates intense sandstorms that affect cities near the desert's edge. In May of 2017, a massive sandstorm engulfed 1 million square miles of northern China, worsening air pollution in Beijing, where the air quality index peaked at 621, classified as beyond index. For perspective, readings above 200 are considered very unhealthy, and levels between 301 to 500 are labeled hazardous by the United States Embassy. Desertification, a form of land degradation, involves the transformation of previously fertile soil into arid land. This process, turning areas into deserts, results from both human activities and climate-induced factors. China's intense developmental initiatives in the 20th century, including deforestation, overgrazing, wind erosion, and water resource depletion, significantly contributed to the acceleration of desertification in the latter half of the century. The relentless advance of the Gobi Desert poses an ongoing threat with little indication of slowing down. But China isn't going to sit still and let it happen. They're committed to fighting against the desert. The Chinese government initiated the Three North Shelter Forest Program, widely known as the Great Green Wall, in 1978. This ambitious project aims to combat desertification by creating a 800-mile wall of trees to block the Gobi's progress. Despite planting over 66 billion trees, forming the largest artificial forest globally, doubts persist regarding the project's success. While certain areas have experienced a slowdown in desert expansion, others remain unaffected. The introduction of non-native, water-thirsty trees in northern China as part of the Great Green Wall project has worsened the depletion of groundwater resources in already arid regions. This creates a detrimental cycle where the newly planted trees consume the remaining water, leading to their demise and affecting surrounding plant species. A 2004 study by Su Yang, revealed that only 15% of the trees planted since 1978 have survived. Monoculture planting, a practice adopted in the area, has increased the vulnerability of forested areas to diseases. In 2000, China's northwestern Ningxia Hui Autonomous Region lost 1 billion poplar trees, representing 2 decades of work, to a single disease. While monoculture forests may boost planting quotas, they are highly susceptible to pathogens, lack soil nutrient regeneration, and fail to establish the diverse ecosystems essential for lush vegetation. Beyond the severe environmental consequences, China's rapid desertification poses a significant political threat to Beijing. As towns succumb to deserts, local economies suffer, compelling the government to relocate people from degraded lands. Between 2003 and 2008, around 650,000 people in China's Inner Mongolia province were forcibly resettled due to the impact of desertification. The country is grappling with a potential food scarcity crisis, made worse by the loss of 6.2% of its farmland between 1997 and 2008, coupled with a population increase of nearly 100 million people. The desertification threat looms large. As of 2017, dunes were forming just 44 miles from Beijing, with estimates suggesting the Gobi Desert's southward expansion toward the capital occurs at a pace of almost 2 miles per year. To combat this, the central government must prioritize the restoration of natural ecosystems. Close supervision of local projects is crucial to avoid mismanagement and to focus solely on meeting quotas. Although China is better equipped to address desertification than the United States was in the 1930s, innovative approaches are needed. A wall of trees alone cannot impede the world's fastest-moving desert. Climate change makes these issues even worse, issues that were already bad enough due to environmental and human factors. So much time, money, and effort was put into the Great Green Wall, but it didn't give the results China was hoping for. Is there any chance for China to overcome these desertification challenges, or will it be swallowed by the sands of time? Let's take a look at another example that may hold the key to defeating the desert. Lingwu County. The encroaching deserts not only threaten farmland, but also pose a risk of burying villages, forcing people to abandon their homes. Since 2012, a $80 million World Bank-financed project has been working to control desertification, rehabilitate natural vegetation, and implement ecological protection measures in 7 counties and cities in Ningxia. The Baijitan Forest Farm, situated on the edge of the Maowusu Desert in Lingwu County, with its annual rainfall of only 160 millimeters and evaporation rate exceeding 2,000 millimeters, faced challenges such as sand blowing into the nearby Yellow River, elevating the riverbed and increasing flood risk. The efforts to control sand received additional funding from a project that adopted a 1+4 approach to restoring vegetation. So what was this project? And could this be the answer to solving the region's problems? The 1 inch in the approach signifies the use of straw checkerboards to fix the sand, while the 4 inches represents planting in spring and autumn, supplemented by spot sowing, container seeding, and broadcast seeding in the rainy season. According to Wang Xingdong, the director of the farm, this approach has achieved a 70% survival rate of planted materials, restoring vegetation cover to 40% and effectively preventing the shifting of sand dunes. The project has successfully brought about 6,667 hectares of desert under control. In Yanqi County, also on the border of the Maowusu Desert, a once sandy area has been transformed into a lush landscape with trees, grass, and flowering shrubs, thanks to extensive straw checkerboards combined with a grazing ban. Overgrazing was identified as a primary cause of land degradation and desertification. To address this, farmers now keep sheep in corrals, receiving subsidies for sheep sheds and benefiting from improved roads and basic infrastructure. Information campaigns were conducted to help farmers understand the importance of keeping their sheep off degraded land. As a result, the forest cover in Yanqi County has increased by 2%, and the number of dusty days in a year has decreased by an average of 11 days. Biodiversity is also improving, with the reappearance of multi-year pasture grasses. Chen Jidong, Deputy Director of the Yanqi County Environment and Forestry Department, noted these environmental gains. Now let's move over to Zhongwei, a city bordering the Tengger Desert which has faced persistent threats of desertification. Its initial attempt to combat sand dates back to the 1950s during the construction of the Bao-to-Lanzhou Railway, which was the first railway of China that had to contend with the desert during its construction. The city now employs an impressive strategy involving the creation of straw checkerboards, forming a large net covering extensive sand areas and stabilizing sand dunes. The process of making straw checkboards is labor-intensive, with women laying straw on the sand and men pressing it into the sand with spades. The introduction of a portable tool has increased the survival rate by 20% while halving labor costs. Supported by the project, over 21,333 hectares of the desert are now covered by this network of straw checkerboards, and 3,333 hectares have been planted with grass and shrubs. This initiative serves as a protective barrier for the city and critical infrastructure, including the railway and highways. The success has also contributed to a thriving tourist industry, attracting visitors from across China eager to witness and experience the desert transformation. Even though China is the world's second-largest economy, getting help from international organizations was essential for it to make progress against the desert. One important contributor was the World Bank. How did they manage to achieve these results? How did they do it? It started in the Ningxia Hui Autonomous Region in northwest China. In this region, desert encroachment has been a persistent historical challenge. Surrounded by 3 major deserts, the region has been combating desertification for over 6 decades. By 2010, 57% of its territory, equivalent to 2.97 million hectares, had been affected by desertification, impacting over 3 million people with issues such as sandstorms and dust pollution. The consequences of desertification extended beyond Ningxia. Degraded land contributed sediment to the Yellow River, diminishing water quality and increasing the risk of downstream flooding. Sandstorms affected larger areas in northern China. In response, the government of Ningxia sought World Bank assistance in 2010 to enhance the effectiveness of desertification control and remediation efforts. This led to the implementation of the Ningxia Desertification Control and Ecological Protection Project. The project addressed financial constraints faced by severely affected counties in Ningxia, allowing for the expansion of pilot activities. It promoted technical advances by introducing improved restoration methods that incorporated diversified indigenous grasses and shrubs to enhance desertification control and contribute to ecosystem resilience. While the investment financing targeted specific areas, the World Bank support had broader impacts, influencing subsequent government projects through its innovation and demonstration effects, showcasing effective approaches to combat desertification. So did this project really work? The project, spanning from 2012 to early 2020, implemented vegetation restoration and sand stabilization measures in selected areas of Ningxia. The initiative not only protected infrastructure and farmland, but also yielded broader impacts, including the reduction of silt in the Yellow River and a decrease in sandstorms affecting northern China. The increased diversification of vegetation played a crucial role in mainstreaming biodiversity at the landscape level. This contributed to the reversal of degradation processes and enhanced ecosystem resilience. Notable project results by the end of the initiative include the improvement of 32,351 hectares of degraded land through vegetation restoration and natural regeneration promotion. Land degradation reversal in the project area was demonstrated by a substantial increase in vegetation cover by 28%. This improvement was accompanied by greater vegetation diversity and enhanced soil quality, thanks to the development of biocrust. Capacity building efforts were a key focus, providing training to officials, project staff, and farmers to enhance land management skills and scale up newly developed techniques. As a result, the seeding survival rate of revegetation activities exceeded 70%, showcasing a significant improvement over pre-project rates. The project also had socio-economic impacts, with 8,158 individuals employed in planting, tending, and patrolling forests. Per capita income increased by approximately $2,300 annually from these wages. The multifunction shrub plantation pilot in Zhongwei involved 3,809 farmers, establishing 2,134 hectares of Chinese dwarf cherry and wolfberry for commercial sale. The average per capita income from these activities ranged from $1,700 to $2,400 per year, depending on the crops. The project also supported over 4,700 herders affected by grazing enclosures, providing them with farm machinery and other assets to facilitate a livelihood transition. At the project's closing, total carbon sequestration was estimated to exceed 88,000 tons and is anticipated to increase substantially as vegetation matures. Carbon sequestration is the process of removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and storing it either in liquid or solid form. Wind erosion was notably reduced due to increased vegetation cover, conserving an estimated 3,396 tons of soil per year. The establishment of 2,455 hectares of shelter belt plantations protected 3,800 hectares of farmland and 514 kilometers of road and rail infrastructure. Protection of the Yellow River was achieved through reduced silt and sediment, resulting in cost savings estimated at $200 million. The average number of days with windblown sand decreased from 12.4 to 9.1 per year across the three largest project counties. The International Bank for Reconstruction and Development played a crucial role in financing the project with a loan of $68.5 million. Leveraging experience from previous forest projects in China and global knowledge in revegetation and degraded land restoration. So even though those previous projects didn't work out for China, they still contributed to the knowledge base required to effectively deal with this problem. It was not all for nothing. The bank introduced innovative planting measures that reduced soil water loss, selected drought-tolerant species, and designed ecologically sensitive planting models, leading to significantly improved survival rates. The project also emphasized the use of diverse species to mainstream biodiversity at the landscape level, contributing to ecosystem resilience. The technologies developed under the project continue to influence the management of arid land, not only in China but also in other countries grappling with desertification. Ecologically friendly desertification prevention and control remain key strategic priorities for Ningxia's regional development. The regional government demonstrated a strong commitment to the project, collaborating closely with relevant departments and project management offices at various levels to ensure effective implementation. Notably, project agencies dedicated significant efforts to overcome challenging natural conditions, such as limited precipitation and poor soil nutrition in project areas. Innovative and improved technical prescriptions were designed to develop drought-tolerant vegetation restoration models, contributing significantly to the project's success. So what's the future of Ningxia going to look like? Looking ahead, desertification control remains a key priority in Ningxia's 14th five-year plan from 2021 to 2025. Lessons learned from the project are expected to continue influencing relevant government projects and programs. The project's technical developments, including species selection and planting methods, have broader impacts on arid land management at the national level and in other desert-prone countries. The lessons learned have been incorporated into training sessions on desertification control for international delegations and workshops. A follow-on project, the proposed project for sustainable management of degraded land in the Yellow River Basin, financed by the European Investment Bank, is integrating the plantation models and techniques developed under this project. But this is just one of many projects that are helping China fight against the desert in the modern day. Another huge project is the Shanshui Initiative. The Shanshui Initiative. In 2016, China embarked on the monumental Shanshui Initiative, a comprehensive effort spanning 75 expansive projects dedicated to rejuvenating ecosystems nationwide. These endeavors, aligned with national land use plans, operate on a vast scale, covering agricultural, urban, and natural landscapes while prioritizing biodiversity objectives. The Ujiang River Headwaters Project in Zhejiang Province is a prime example, blending scientific insights with age-old farming practices to improve sustainability. In Yunhe County, villagers armed with basic tools are reclaiming abandoned hillside rice fields, employing traditional farming techniques such as slope terracing and integrating crops with fish and duck rearing. This not only breathes life back into the land, but also transforms the county into a nice ecotourism hub, drawing nature enthusiasts. The Shanshui Initiative adopts an integrated strategy, aiming to revive ecosystems, stimulate rural economies, and align with UN Sustainable Development Goals. The goal is to restore 12 million hectares by 2030, with 3.5 million hectares already undergoing restoration. Projections suggest the initiative will create over 3.2 million jobs, benefiting approximately 360 million people. Notably, it has earned recognition as one of the United Nations Decade on Ecosystem Restoration's first 10 global restoration flagships. This initiative shows China's dedication to addressing global challenges such as climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. By merging scientific insights with traditional methods, projects like fish-inhabited rice paddies showcase sustainable land use. Xu Guanhong's rice paddies, where fish play a crucial role in eliminating the need for pesticides and fertilizers, is a good example of this harmonious approach. The Shanshui initiative draws inspiration from traditional Chinese landscape paintings, emphasizing the balance of land and water. Restoration expert Luo Ming emphasizes the ancient wisdom of considering humans as a community of life with nature, highlighting the symbiotic relationship essential for sustainable living. This approach, deeply rooted in tradition, not only benefits the environment, but also elevates the well-being of local communities, attracting those seeking a harmonious coexistence with nature. Technology has played a very crucial role in China's efforts against the desert sands. But as climate change makes things worse, companies are pushing their technological prowess further and further to achieve scientific breakthroughs that were simply not possible years ago. One of these game-changing creations has been the development of nanoclay. Nanoclay globally, approximately 12 million hectares of arable land succumb to erosion annually, and it's predicted that within the next 25 years, land degradation could diminish global food production by up to 12%. Recognizing the gravity of this issue, the company known as Desert Control has come up with a very innovative solution. Desert Control has introduced liquid nanoclay, or LNC, a groundbreaking solution composed of water and clay nanoparticles. This mixture transforms arid, sandy terrain into moisture-retaining fertile soil. Easily applicable, the on-site creation of LNC from natural materials is the same as standard irrigation practices, offering a straightforward and accessible solution for farmers worldwide. Desert Control has tested LNC in China, Egypt, Pakistan, and the UAE, yielding impressive results, including a 30 to 50% increase in water and fertilizer retention. Desert Control aims to commercialize its technology. This reduces the reliance on irrigation and enhances crop yields. With technology validation complete, the company is gearing up for expansion, marked by a successful IPO launch on Euronext Growth Oslo Stock Exchange. Desert Control's mission to make the Earth green again holds promising global implications. Picture your garden. Thin soils struggle to retain moisture or support plant growth. Adding clay in the right proportions can transform this scenario dramatically. Desert Control aims to utilize nanoclay to convert unproductive desert land from sand to hope. While the practice of using clay to enhance soils isn't novel, Desert Control's innovative approach minimizes labor intensity and disruption to underground ecosystems, marking a significant advancement in sustainable agriculture. Plowing and soil disruption have environmental costs, releasing stored carbon as carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Soil scientist Saren Sohi from the University of Edinburgh says that cultivation can cause disruptions in the intricate soil, biome disruption caused by cultivation. This disruption particularly affects the symbiotic relationship between plants and mycorrhizae fungi, which is vital for nutrient access and soil structure. This nanoclay solution involves a carefully balanced thin liquid formula, enhancing soil conditions for optimal crop growth. With an independent endorsement from the International Center for Biosaline Agriculture, Desert Control plans to deploy mobile mini-factories to produce liquid nanoclay locally. The technology has potential applications in diverse soils globally. The technology's current cost is around $2 per square meter, which is feasible for small farms in the UAE. However, the goal is to reduce costs to approximately 20 cents per square meter for widespread impact, especially in regions like sub-Saharan Africa. Desert Control collaborates with the United Nations Convention to combat desertification, supporting initiatives like the Great Green Wall Project. Beyond nanoclay, biochar emerges as a solution for non-sandy soils, stabilizing carbon and enhancing soil structure. Vermiculite, polymer beads, and other techniques contribute to soil recovery, addressing diverse soil challenges. The success of nanoclay technology in the UAE holds promise for transforming unproductive land into fertile areas with global applications. Let us know if you think technologies like these could even help us solve massive global issues like world hunger. Leave a like and subscribe for more in the future.